Whenever I'm talking to staff about an inclusive program, I talk about the fact that when we work in inclusive programs, we must hold on to two very clear beliefs in each hand, and they're different. And one belief is that children are more alike than different. Children are children first. And in the other hand, they're holding on to the idea that all children are different and have unique needs.
If you're observing in the classrooms, you will not be able to tell which children are in our inclusion program and which children are the typical peers. We have mixed groups. The children rotate groups for small group activity. There's a special education teacher, and there is a special education assistant in the classroom along with the general education teacher and 2 general education assistants. And as needed, the staff will pull both the typical peers and the children with the IEPs aside to work on some skills that need some extra support.
When we talk about the issue of environmental access and adaptive equipment, particularly when we're talking about children with disabilities, we've really seen a shift in the focus of that through the years. When I first started in the field, that we were talking a lot about specialized equipment and specialized environments. What we are talking much more, and you hear and you look at and you look in the regulations, we're talking much more about universal design and universal access. The term universal design came from architects in Western Europe. It came about them really seeing how do we meet the needs of all of our population, not just for children, but for adults as well. How do we begin to create environments that are open and accessible to the broad range of needs of children? It is surprising that how much of what's good for a child with disabilities around access is going to be good for all little kids. And so when we look at the way we set up our sandboxes, when we look at the way we set up our dramatic play corners, when we look at access and room and ability to move in and out, that's good for all children. This is where I see occupational therapists and physical therapists as unbelievably helpful to come in and analyze your classroom, not to say, it's around a specific child with a disability, but how can we create a more universally accessible environment?
And these days, kids are hurt in many ways, whether they're threats, or whether someone physically assaults them or something, There's this word going around called bullying. Those of you who have heard of it, obviously. But it's getting more and more popular. And what happens is when people get picked on when they're bullied, it's very psychological. It messes with your mind. It makes you think some crazy thoughts. In fact, that's why 71% of school shooters, like kids who walk into middle schools, high school, elementary schools, shooting up innocent kids, the reason why they do that, 71% of them were bullied, man. It's very psychological. The first thing you think is, how can I get revenge? I don't want to be around somebody who's unstable. So that's what happens. Somebody hurts you, they become unstable people. Why? Because you know what they're capable of doing to you. So when you're around them, that creates an unstable environment, right? And it's hard to learn in an unstable environment.